This video is going to cover notation, changing notation into tablature, and changing tablature into regular notation. That's going to be question number 1 on your written exam. So I'll start with reviewing how we find out the name of the note on the staff. You should be pretty familiar with this by now. We are reading in class, but I will do a thorough review for you just in case you've been having trouble with this. So what I've got here is the word face spelled to indicate the spaces on a staff that uses what's called a treble clef or a G clef. So that means that if I write a note in this space, the name of that note is going to be the note F. If I write a note in this space, the name of that is going to be an A, etc. Now, what's really happening though is we're just going up the alphabet. So as you can see here, the line here is an E. We go up the alphabet to an F. We go up the alphabet again to the line, and that's a G, then an A, then a B, and then a C, etc. So you only need to really remember that the spaces spell face to be able to figure out all of the notes on the staff. However, it can be useful to have the lines as a reference point as well. So I've spelled out E, G, B, D, F, and A. And an easy way to remember that, every good boy does fine, or every good boy deserves fudge, or my absolute favorite, every good burrito doesn't fall apart. An A up here if we add an extra line. So we can keep adding lines up here as much as we want, and go as high as we need to when we're playing the guitar. But for your midterm exam, you'll only have to write in notes that cover basically up to here, the top 3 strings. Okay, so just a reminder, this isn't tablature. So these lines do not represent strings at all. This is a method of notation that's used for other instruments as well. So it's not going to have anything to do with strings. Okay, and I know some of you are still confused. You have a tendency to mix up tablature and regular notation. Don't mix it up. There are only 5 lines. There's 6 strings in the guitar. Tab has 6 lines for the strings in the guitar. Okay, so we do have a problem here though. We have some redundancy. For example, we have an E here and we have an E here. We have a G here, and if I keep going up the spaces, E, F, G, I have a G there. So you need to know which G I'm talking about when I write it in tab. You need to know if it's a high sounding G or a lower sounding G. That's going to be very important. Okay, so let's start. Since we just reviewed the notation, I'm going to write out some notes, and then we're going to go over how tablature works, how the notation system is used. So we'll start though with an example. Let's see. Start with some notes, some happy little notes here. Okay, that's a good number of notes. Okay, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 notes up here. I have not included any sharps and flats. We're going to wait for that, okay? So I've used just the natural notes. You're most familiar with those notes, so those are good notes to use. Okay, so the first note, okay, using your spaces spell face, go ahead and come up with the answer to that note. The name for that note is an E. Okay, how about this one? Go ahead, figure it out on your own before I write it down. D, it's your every burrito doesn't, every good burrito doesn't. It's the D for doesn't. Okay, then we've got F-A-C, C for face, G, every good, A, and an F. Okay, hopefully you got those pretty quickly. They're not too difficult. If you had trouble with them, go ahead, rewind and pause. Just look at what I've written down here and write down on a notebook or on some staff paper what the names of the notes are. Okay, next I need to find out how to play these, how to notate them rather, in tablature, which is really how to play them. So, E, I know that's my open string. You all know that that's your open string, your open first string. And the way the tab works, this top line represents the first string. Now, just so we're really clear about this, the first string is a high sounding string. It's the string that's closest to the ground. Okay? So I use the lines to represent strings, and I use numbers to mean frets. So, and not using a fret to play an E means that I'm going to put a 0. That's the number 0. It's not a note, it's the number 0. And when I play that number 0 on the first string, I get the note E. Okay, the next note is a D. So first of all, think about what string that's on. Well, I can tell it's lower than an E, so it's got to be on a string that's lower than the first string. It's actually on a second string. Second string is the B string. B, next door neighbor is C, skip 1 to D. So a D is on the second string, so I go to the second line of the tablature, and it's on the 3rd fret, so I write a 3 right there on that second line. The next note is a C. That's 1. The next note is a G. Now, it's not the G that's on the first string, because that would be really high sounding. It would be higher than this on the staff. It's a lower sounding G, and you know that your 3rd string is called the G string. And so we put a 0 right there. An A is going to be a 2, and an F is going to be a 1. Okay, that's just a quick review of some strings that are of some natural notes. But what happens if we alter those notes, if we change them? Well, we can change them in 2 different ways. We can change them by making them higher in pitch, or we can make them lower in pitch.